Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We wait a few seconds and we will begin. We try to be. It's part of our culture in Business Science Institute. We generally begin on time and we finish also on time. So I suggest that we begin. We go ahead. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining this English Online DBA Executive webinar. And 7 o'clock UK time. It will last around 45 minutes. Participate to this webinar, Professor Nathalie Mitef. Nathalie, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hello, everybody. I've been involved with BSI for almost since the beginning, I think. I teach on it, but my main role ever since the beginning of its launch, I've been in charge of the English online DBA version, which has been running, for 8 years now? 7 years?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, something like that. Yes, and Professor Hélène Fernelet was supposed to join us tonight, but
unfortunately, she had a bad family news, so she's been called away urgently to deal with that. So we're sorry not to have her with us, because it would have been very useful, since she's now going to coordinate the UK chapter of the English Online DBA.
Yes, that's right. And anyway, she will join to the next meeting, and she will be in charge of the UK cohort on the online DBA. And thank you, Professor Mitef. Thank you, Nathalie. And personally, I'm Michel Kalika. I am emeritus professor. My field of teaching is mainly strategy. My field of research is mainly information system, about information overload. And I am the founder president of Business Science Institute. And before beginning, we will specify some technical advice. Then I will present Business Science Institute and our DBA program. And then Professor Nathalie Mitef will introduce the English Online Executive Doctorate in Business Administration. And Professor Hélène Fernelet was supposed to specify the London group, the organization that we plan, and then we will be available to answer your question.
By chat.
Yeah, by chat. And that's a link to the technical advice. You can ask the question either through the chat, either through the Q&A, and your microphone are on off as always in the webinar. And you can also send us email. Sometime we will receive email with some question, and don't hesitate to do it. So first of all, please, as an introduction, the Business Science Institute in a few words. Business Science Institute has been created 10 years ago in 2012, and originally the idea was to meet the demand of experienced managers holding an MBA or an equivalent of an MBA. And this manager, they wanted to take a step back from their managerial experience. They wanted to reflect on and write a thesis and publish it in a book. And they consider that the traditional program, the traditional PhD was not adapted to this demand. And that's why we created the Business Science Institute as a a network organization. And today, 10 years after, we can say that Business Science Institute is an international academic network organization. And we are unique because we focus only on DBA program. It means that in terms of strategy, we are very, very specialized. And it means also that all our resource, all our competencies focus on the organization of the DBA. We are a non-for-profit organization, and very important, we are one of the few DBA internationally accredited by AMBA in December 2020. And there are today around 10 DBA internationally accredited by AMBA. And as an AMBA accredited DBA, we coordinated a book recently, a few weeks ago. The title of the book is The Doctor of Business Administration, Taking Your Professional Practice to the Next Level. And really, if you are interested by DBA, we encourage you to have a look on that book. You will learn a lot of things. We are part of the Dubai DBA ranking. Today, we are quite a large organization in the field of DBA because we have more than 230 DBA students in the pipe, in progress. And you must know that we have some experience in the field of DBA. We opened around 60 groups in 11 countries, and our doctoral manager are from nearly 50 different nationalities. More than 140 DBA theses have been defended. And because we are a network organization, we are lucky because we have a lot of faculty members, a lot of professors, more than 100, strongly involved in our organization. That's a strength because we can answer to all the demand of the manager, whatever the topic they want to work on. We teach in French. I'm French, you recognize my accent, in English and in German, and maybe in the future in Spanish also. One characteristic of Business Science Institute is that we publish more than 40 books, and half of them have been published by our faculty to explain what we expect in the DBA program. We are very clear on our expectation, and half of the books have been published by our doctor. And you can see all that on our website. Our doctor and our doctoral students are all over the world. Some are coming from Australia, some are coming on Brazil, North America, Europe, Africa, and so on. Maybe Professor Mitev, you can explain.
Yes, so the next topics we'd like to explore a little bit more is why you would be interested in doing an executive doctorate in business administration. And the aim of the DBA is to go beyond the MBA, and many of our candidates have done MBAs or equivalent postgraduate master's diplomas in management or other topics. And many of them have also got at least 5 years of professional experience. And they've reached a point where they like to go back to studying, and they quickly find that doing the traditional PhD is not suited to their circumstances. Partly because it's very academically oriented, whereas the DBA is also concerned with managerial and social impact. Another interest they display is that they like to have more links between practice and research. So being at the interface of those, exchanging with academics from our point of view as academics it's also interesting to exchange with professionals. So having a more synthetic view of the business life and academia.
That point is very important because very often we consider that there are two worlds, the world of practice and the world of the academia. And you know, the DBA is a way to make these two worlds work together. And that's very important. That's an important issue, and that's a characteristic of the DBA, obviously.
This slide is, we did a survey from our own students asking them why they decided to do the DBA, and most of them had finished, I think, by now, yep. Some of those people. So we had private and professional reasons for wanting to do an executive DBA. In terms of private reasons, there's the pleasure of thinking, writing, reading, exchanging with us. Pride, which is to do with becoming a doctor. Self-accomplishment, which featured very strongly in terms of the challenge and the kind of pushing themselves further. And also differentiation in their professional life, in the sense that many people have MBAs, and they wanted to have a kind of an added value and a differentiator. In terms of professional development, it's also to do with what the expectations of their work environments. And for consultants, for instance, in the last sentence, it kind of gives them more legitimacy in terms of having published and having produced research work to help with practice.
Yes, well, one point we can highlight here is to say that the DBA is quite different from the MBA program. In an MBA program, we transfer knowledge. In a DBA program, the doctoral student, the manager, creates knowledge with the support of faculty. So it's quite different, and that can explain the difference between the motivation.
So why would you want also to do it online, since we're focusing on the online English DBA? The online version of the DBA that we offer is clearly popular for people who keep working and who are usually mid-career and who've got often very high responsibilities in their jobs. So they cannot travel regularly to go to physical seminars every whatever it is. So the online version is very useful in the sense that it enables them to work at their own pace, in their own time, whenever they want, and at the speed they want. The material is on the platform, they have access to it, and they go through it in their own ways.
Why Business Science Institute, Nathalie?
So to take up some of the keywords that Michel already introduced, we're international. It's obviously an academic institution. We're independent. We're standalone. We have our own identity, and we're entirely focused on the DBA. The academics who join us want to work with DBAs, so they're highly motivated. It's a networked organization, which works very well, particularly internationally. So we dedicate to the DBA. Our collaborative network comes from many different business schools and universities in many different countries, with usually, of course, the emphasis on the 3 languages, French, English, and German. We have a wide range of faculty from all sorts of domains and expertise, which makes it very easy to find someone to supervise the thesis. We've got the AMBA accreditation, which is also very useful and gives access to an international network. We even have through AMBA, we also sometimes we have sent a couple of students already to a doctoral consortium of international conferences. Engage scholarship, engage managers engaging in scholarly work. Perhaps one of the strong points we have is that the videos which are available and all the material available on our platform are filmed by our own English speaking international professors, who are also available for each time you watch a course. You can ask to talk to the teacher for individually to help you progress with the material in that module. We also have a personalized follow-up system. We pride ourselves in being very responsive in any questions or queries that students may have, with an administrative team as well as academics are available.
That's
available quickly.
That's obviously one of our strengths.
Yeah.
The responsiveness of the academic support, and also the responsiveness of the faculty.
Yeah.
All the faculty who are involved in Business Science Institute, they know that you are manager, then you have to answer rapidly.
And we also have this this books collection written by ourselves and our own doctors who are written with the DBA candidate in mind. So they are specifically for DBA standards students, and which also has a consideration on managerial impact, not only academic and managerial impact. So the DBA is more than a degree, in the sense that this is something which also can help in practice in later careers.
Yes, and the last point is that for us, a DBA is more than a degree. We want the DBA to create impact through the managerial recommendation. That's really mandatory for us in a DBA.
And they are based on the research of the thesis. So there's a joining of the forces of the research and the practice. Those are some of the books we have published for the DBA. So there are some general books about how to do a DBA, how to do a thesis, how to research the thesis, some about data analysis, some about theorizing, and the three at the bottom are books written by doctors, DBA doctors.
Yeah, and all these books are, of course, available for our students, either online, either on PDF copy, or either in paper version. Everything is, of course, part of the stuff that is provided. Available, yeah. Is provided. Yes, right. How is it organized?
So it's divided into three phases. First of all, there's this acquiring core knowledge for doctoral work, so the foundations, if you want. So there's online modules, a series of online modules that you do at your own pace. You can have online meetings with the module professors, and at some point, whilst you're doing this and learning about doctoral work, we start thinking about and allocating you a thesis supervisor from our network. Then in the second phase, with your supervisor, you start thinking about collecting data, carrying on reading and reading the literature. There's also individual online follow-up seminars 4 times a year, where you get feedback from 2 other academics, 2 other colleagues. And there's also a certificate presentation, usually about a year and a half into the program, where you also get feedback, written feedback, oral feedback from 2 other academics in a sort of mini viva. Once you've done that, the certificate presentation is really kind of presenting a thesis proposal. So we have a kind of structure, and we know what you're doing, and then you can carry on with supervisor actually carrying on with the data collection, analyzing the data, writing the thesis, doing more online follow-up seminars, whatever, as you go. And then finally, in the last phase, you carry on with seminars and you do your viva. And then there's on the side, there's a table with the modules for the first phase, which are divided into 5 blocks. So you have managing the executive DBA thesis, which is about what is a thesis, how to do research. Then there's a couple of blocks here which are to do with research in different management fields, in finance, in human resource management, in marketing, in supply chain, etc. And then there's 2 methodological blocks here, qualitative and quantitative, to help you design your research and collect and analyze your data. And whilst you do that, it helps you select and refine your research topic, and find a research supervisor who's appropriate, prepare for your certificate, and then carry on with doing your field work, analyzing your data, and then writing and presenting your thesis. There's also and then writing and defending your thesis in front of a panel. The panel is usually 3 to 4 people, including some practitioners who are often ex-DBA students at BSI.
Yes, right. Always. They are always a doctor. The professional are always doctor from Business Science Institute. And the program, how long lasts the program, Professor Mitev?
It's usually between 3 and 4 years.
Yeah, for AMBA it's 4 years, and since we are accredited, we organize the program on 4 years, but the average length of the defense is 3.5 years.
3.5, 3, yeah, between 3 and 5, and 3 and 4, yeah.
Yeah, 3 and 4, excuse me. Yeah. Okay, and then what are the resources available?
So there's resources available throughout in the form of access to databases with articles, books. There's data analysis software. You have access to bibliographic databases, EBSCO and Scholarvox, and another one, CANS. You also get methodological support in the use of the data analysis software. So you can send your data and you get some, a particular professor who helps you put it into shape. There's a support team in the form of the administrative support, the general manager, and this technical support for the platform. There's also audiovisual support for the videos. I'm missing some people, but that's the main kind of support team for us and for the students. The follow-up seminars are organized 3 or 4 years, 4 times a year. So they can be online, so you don't have to travel. There's also monthly progress reports that we expect from you to try to kind of keep track of what you're doing, in which you can explain what you've done and ask any questions. You can also ask for appointments with any professor for individual sessions at any time. Yeah,
that's an important issue. You can always contact all the faculty through our support team. The last point is about the graduation, the degree. At the end of the process, you receive the degree, the executive DBA from Business Science Institute, because we have an agreement from the Ministry of Education in Luxembourg, and we are AMBA accredited. And you also receive the degree, the DBA of the University of Lyon, of IEI Lyon, University of Lyon Jean Moulin, which is a state's university.
And we have a partnership, and we've had a partnership with them ever since the beginning, which has been very productive. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. A lot of their professors work with us.
Yeah, and all the students are registered in the public university of Lyon. And maybe we can mention, Professor Mitev, that we have an international week.
Twice a year?
Yeah, twice a year. Generally, it's face-to-face the last week of September.
And another one in March. Yeah.
In March, yes.
Or it can be hybrid. It's often hybrid. So we have face-to-face and online together. Yeah.
And we wish you to achieve the graduation and to go to the end of the process. And now we have nearly finished. Do you have the right profile? You can know that. Just send your CV at this address. cv@business-science-institute.com. This address is also on our website. Your CV should begin with a brief summary giving the following information: current profession, number of years of experience, of managerial experience. We require a minimum of 5 years of managerial experience. But in fact, the average age is around 45. You must know that, but we have some students, some managers who are 35 and some other who are 65 or 70. Yeah. Okay, you must specify the highest and more recent qualification, and you will receive a very very rapidly an answer telling you go or no go for applying online. And now we are available to answer your question.
Perhaps last point to add in the absence of Elaine Fernley is that we are planning to try to kind of target or nurture the UK market more specifically, and depending on demand, we envisaging to organize face-to-face events like in London.
Okay, and it will be very, very flexible on demand. And so we will answer to that demand because we are very flexible in terms of organization. And so now we are available now to answer your question. You can ask your question either through the chat or either through the Q&A function on the website, on the screen, on your Zoom screen. I have a first question on my email, Professor Mitev. It's about the identification of the supervisor.
Yeah.
How is it managed when the students arrive in the program with an idea of the subject?
When you submit, we expect you to produce a very short outline of what you'd like to research. What would be your research interest and your area of interest, from which we then enroll you on the course. During the first year or so, whilst you're doing the modules online, you interact with the teachers of each module, but you also interact with the coordinator, the academic coordinator. In the case of the English online version, I'm the coordinator. So I have Zooms with you regularly to assess how you're progressing through the modules, and how is that also helping you in refining and pinpointing what kind of research you could do for your thesis. And that slowly builds up, because most of the work you do for the modules is also we ask you to apply what you've learned on the modules on your own thesis topic or potential thesis topics. And that kind of evolves over time. And at one point, it becomes clearer what you want to do. So we discussed this in different ways. We discuss this in terms of fieldwork, in terms of methodology, in terms of conceptualization. And that gives me ideas about who could, clearly also the field, if it's in HR, if it's in marketing, if it's in supply chain. And then we have in fact, we have internal databases of all the research interests of all our colleagues. And I use that, and we also exchange amongst ourselves to think who would be potentially interested and who would fit the best in terms of conceptualization, in terms of field of interest, and in terms of methodology, who would fit the best with what you'd like to do. And then we approach them, and then usually try to exchange some of the material you may have produced whilst you were doing the modules, and that you put together for further clarification. And then you have a Zoom, you have an online meeting with that professor to see whether that professor suits you as well, because it's a two-way process. And then you allocate to the supervisor. And at that point, the academic coordinator, my role, tends to kind of subside. So I'm there as the kind of point of reference during the first year also, as being the one who kind of eventually getting to know how you're working, getting to know how you're progressing through the program, and orienting you towards someone who would be the nearest match possible to what you want to do.
Yes, we can say that the identification of the supervisor takes place during the first year.
Yeah.
And at the end of the first year, there was the question about the certificate of research on business administration.
Yeah. So the once you have a supervisor, is good practice, and all doctoral programs do that, whether, you know, traditional PhDs or DBA programs, they tend to do that. After a year and a half or so, usually, they do you start having follow-up seminars, so you start getting feedback. It's important, once you start working and kind of formulating what you want to do with your supervisor, to start presenting it to others and getting feedback, so it grows and it becomes more elaborate. You become more fluent in the language of research, and at one point, once you've done a couple of follow-up seminars and possibly also attended and listened to other students' presentations, because when we do follow-up seminars or certificate presentations, we record everything, so everything is available for you to look at. You can attend follow-up seminars. The programs are circulated to all the students, and you can pick someone you want to listen to because the topic is of interest, for instance. So you learn how other students also present their research, students who are ahead of you or who are more advanced. And that leads to then having to produce a full proposal, which is 25 pages long, which is the outline of the thesis, really. So it's kind of constructing the building blocks of the thesis. So 20 pages is obviously not the thesis, but that really helps with then producing a full thesis. And that is examined through a mini viva, sort of, with another two academics who also provide you feedback to then progress further with the thesis itself. And the supervisor also gets the feedback from the written feedback from the other academics. So your work is exposed to a range of professors who can help kind of refine and direct you in terms of articles, data gathering techniques you may not have thought of, the logic of the methodology, various aspects like this to make it a thesis which holds. And the certificate is also awarded by the Business Science Institute at the graduation. So you get a separate early degree, if you want, diploma.
Okay. Maybe we can take a last question. Let me check. Yes, it's about the International Week. When does it take place? We can say that it is always during the last week of September. Where it depends. This year it was in Paris, in Château de Versailles Castle in Trianon. But next year it will be in Luxembourg town, and it depends. Generally, it's in a European town. It has been in Luxembourg several times, and also in Paris. And but it's in Europe. And I have a question about the contents of this International Week.
We often have guest speakers who talk about practice and academic work, both. And so that's usually the first day where people arrive, and we have collective events. Yes. So we eat together and we have coffee together. So there's space for that. There's a lot of time given to meetings, so students can ask to meet anybody. So we organize appointments with whoever wants to meet any of the professors present. There's also certificate presentations. I can't remember how many there were in the last time, but it was probably about a whole day of certificate presentations, yes, which are again organized per stream, so English, French, and German. And those take place physically in different teaching rooms, in different rooms, and anybody can go and listen to any of these presentations. They are open, so you can come to International Week even at an early stage to listen in and to see how it takes place. And the certificate presentation would have a presentation by a student, which is usually about 20 minutes. And then there's usually a long discussion and conversation with two examiners to help the student develop the thesis further. And so it's very useful. What we find is that the students really, it becomes much more real and becomes, it really helps them realize what it's all about. And there's also obviously thesis vivas as well. It's usually about a day and a half. And again, you can attend any of the viva physically. And there's also, we organize online sessions for those who cannot be there. And for the final Viva sessions, it's the same principle. Any audience, the audience is really great to have an audience in the room and listening in. And again, the student gives a presentation, 25 minutes or so. And then there's questions from the panel. And again, the panel is usually 3 or 4 people, including a practitioner.
Yeah.
And then there's a graduation to finish it off.
Yeah.
With a cocktail at the end.
Yes, that's right. And what is important is that during this international week, a lot of faculty are here, and so it's an exceptional. During the last international week, around 60 professors from all over the world participated, and so it's an exceptional opportunity for students to interact with all this faculty.
Sometimes you find a supervisor that way as well, or you can think of potential supervisors. If someone has hooked up with an academic during the international week, that can lead to good supervision. Yeah. And the other thing which also happens, particularly for the online version, is that the students don't know each other because they work each on separately online, but they really enjoy meeting each other. And that often leads to people continuing to support each other after the international week. So we also organize meetings for each cohort, for each type of program, so that they get to know each other.
Yeah. And we organize a survey among our alumni, and they said spontaneously that what they appreciated the more or the most is the opportunity to meet so many faculty members during the international week. That's exceptional, in an academic institution to have this opportunity to have contact and to have feedback on your own subject.
And to have all of them in one place,
I have maybe a last question about the topic of the thesis. Is there any limitation in the topic? We can say that it's a DBA. So DBA, it's a doctorate in business administration. It has to be related to business administration. It has to be related to the world of management. But after saying that, the topic can be very, very different. For example, have in mind one student working on Islamic finance. I have another student working on green IT. I have another student who just involved in Japan and is involved with the topic on sustainability of business model. He's part of a huge international company, and he will work on that topic. Of course, we have also students who are working in marketing, in human resource management. Maybe one of the characteristics is that the list of the topic is not limited, because we have an unlimited pool of faculty members coming from international university.
Yep. Wide range of topics. Yeah.
Yeah. And in 10 years, we never fail on that because we always find a supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any question more, so I suggest that we stop it just on time. Do you want to add anything, Professor Mitev, a last point?
No, it'd be join us if you're interested. One thing we haven't mentioned is that when you apply, you also have an interview with us. Which is also interesting for understanding your motivations, primarily, understanding your motivations and your what you're hoping to get from it, your expectations and your motivation. That's what we concentrate on, and it usually takes place very quickly after you contact us, so you hear quickly from us after that.
Yeah, and you can have any information, any information on our website, which is in English, in French, and in German. You can also find on the website some video, some article published by our faculty member, and so on.
And links to the books or links to the publisher.
Yes, absolutely. And you can ask to any question using this address, and you will have an answer generally in 24 hours. Okay. See you soon, and thank you for attending this webinar. Bye-bye. See you soon. See you soon online, and see you soon in London very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.